Welcome back, viewers. On the foreign policy of Pakistan today, what are the drawbacks in the Pakistan's foreign policy? How can we find them? What should be the principles and a framework of a foreign policy of Pakistan in the current situation that we are facing these days? Zahid Hamid, before going to the break, we were talking how the previous regimes like Pervez Musharraf, Zardari, and Nawaz Sharif regimes have created foreign policy which seems like a dictation from US or IMF or whoever can come and do, and then we are obeying them. So how can we change these things? How can we rectify problems in our foreign policy? Why can't we stand up and tell them that this is what we need them to do?
You see, we've been saying that the democracy that has been brought in Pakistan in the last 6 years is very categorically CIA-sponsored democracy. It was brought about, a collapse onto Pakistan. It was not brought about, this democracy was not brought in to resistance to the US foreign policy. So naturally, we expect the Zardari government was the most corrupt in Pakistan, so it did not resist, and Nawaz Sharif government is the most incompetent and most insecure. They have just come different days to their arrival, and almost
and we don't have an independent foreign minister.
We don't have a defense minister, we don't have a foreign minister, and we don't have an anti-terrorism policy, we don't have a policy, we don't have a vision where Pakistan, where do they want to take Pakistan?
What's the fear of Nawaz Sharif for not having an independent foreign minister? If we consider the foreign policy, then he has an independent foreign minister.
He doesn't have a team. He does not have anybody competent enough.
What about the advisor to Prime Minister on the foreign affairs, Sartaj Aziz? How do you see him?
All people are tested in the past as well. They are below average mediocres. None of them is a brilliant visionary or a think-theologue or a hunter-killer who can protect Pakistan's interest in this cutthroat in a war where Pakistan is actually being dismembered like Syria. We are facing an existential war. Right now, for example, look at Syria. Syria was only able to prevent external attack by allying itself with Russia and Iran, who acted as
and China.
And China. Pakistan have such a strong relationship with China, Iran, with Turkey, with Saudi Arabia, but still Pakistan does not have a defense alliance. Pakistan still does not have an international diplomatic guarantee that if Pakistan is attacked, foreign powers move back and defend Pakistan.
They will stand by Pakistan. We don't see any of the powers.
There are unwritten laws. There are understanding with China, yes, but in the international diplomatic level, certain strongs have to be sent openly, not covertly, overtly. World has to be told their defense. Like from 1971, when India dismembered Pakistan, they openly declared a defense alliance between Russia, Soviet Union, and India, that any country which is under attack would be considered attack on the. And if India is attacked, that checkmated China. Because China then could not intervene to affect, then the threat from Soviet Union existed. Pakistan right now is being dismembered in the same way as Iraq, Libya, and Syria was being attacked and dismembered. Pakistan is under attack. We are in a state of war. We needed a foreign policy which is able to protect and Pakistan's interest in chaotic times.
So how can we protect Pakistan through a foreign policy? What else included in the foreign policy?
We said, for example, I give you the example that on one hand, Pakistan need to face up to the Americans because Americans still need Pakistan. We have potential, we have the will, we have the means to do with the Americans what we did to the Soviets. Americans are still in, they've got $80 billion worth of hardware there, which they need to take out, and they can only take out through. That's where the leverage is. Pakistan's geography is our strongest strength. If we allow the Americans to put all that hardware out, which they want to take, and distribute whatever they don't want to take within Pakistan to the insurgent terrorist groups, then it's bye-bye Pakistan, then it's over for us. That this is the time where we need to choke the Americans by their jugular and force them to come to our terms. We can't.
What are our terms? What should be our terms?
You see, our terms is the foreign forces must leave Afghanistan immediately and hand over Afghanistan to the representatives of Afghan people from the Pashtuns, Uzbeks only. No foreign forces, no Indian presence, no Blackwaters, no NATO, no Americans. Our term, because that's where the leverage is. Pakistan is the war that we are facing now is all in from Afghanistan, and if the collapse crosses a certain red line, if the internal collapse crosses that red line, Indians will move in from the east under their cold start military doctrine, and the threat that Pakistan is facing. So we have to neutralize India. We have to neutralize the American threat now which we are facing from our western borders, which is coming from Afghanistan, and we still have time. We have our geography is our greatest strength. Americans cannot leave Afghanistan without going to Pakistan, and this is where we can put our foot down. But for that, we need a strong government, we need a strong minister, we need a strong foreign minister Right now, it's our Prime Minister is the Foreign Minister, Defense Minister as well. And they are themselves so shaky, so confused. They have absolutely no idea what are the threats to the country. And under this scenario, it's all crisis for Pakistan.
So what do we see if we look at the current government? What do we see in the coming years that this Sharif government will be handling the foreign policy? What would you like to suggest then?
See, the events
Who would be the most suitable person to be appointed as their foreign minister?
See, the events are moving so fast in the region that I don't see this government completing even the next months, let alone 5 years. If the collapse that is taking place in Pakistan, the economic collapse, the security collapse, the diplomatic and political collapse, the threats, the confrontation that is building up with India, the crisis that is coming into Pakistan from Afghanistan, if it continues with the same pace, I'm afraid next 6 months will be bloody for Pakistan and for the government as well.
The next 6 months can be bloody for Pakistan, and seeing the internal threats that and Pakistan, we see US there, we see Indian penetration in Pakistan, and that factor that we didn't talk about, and I would like to know about that, is Saudi. So how do you see your Pakistan's relation with Saudi Arabia? Is Pakistan addressing the relation with Saudi Arabia in the right direction?
Saudi Arabia has always been considered a brotherly country. They've been helping us tremendously. We trust Pakistanis a lot. There's no doubt about that. Whenever Saudi Arabia needed a when they had a security threat, they always called in Pakistani forces to help them and support them. And they really trust us. There's no doubt about this. But now the scenario has changed so much that entire Saudi security economy is totally controlled by the Americans. Saudis don't make their own independent policies anymore. They may be making in the 60s and the 70s when the petrodollars came into, when the Shah Faisal tried to use oil as weapon. That time Saudis could use their independent foreign policy to an extent, but not anymore. So Pakistan, despite the fact that Saudis trust us very much and they've always been friendly with us, they don't offer us any political, diplomatic or military support. Financial maybe to an extent, yes, but nothing other than that.
You don't think that Saudi Arabia is playing any role in stabbing Pakistan for terrorism?
You see, Saudis will do what we tell them to do. They don't have any independent Pakistan policy, have any independent Afghan policy, they don't have any. They have problems with Iran, they have problems with, it's the sectarian dimension that creates disturbance for them. They were not very comfortable with Zardari government, considered Zardari to be somebody they didn't like. They didn't like, but they didn't like him very much. So they're comfortable with the present government. But the fact is that Pakistan's threats that the Pakistan face now are now far beyond, far extensive, than what any of the previous governments have ever faced. It's an unfair crisis for us. And unless and until Pakistan creates a larger security bloc, for joining the SCO, a security bloc led by China and Russia, and make a regional security bloc with Pakistan, Iran and Turkey, for example, unless and until Pakistan mobilizes its force into this direction, the existing scenario where Pakistan stands alone and getting the beating also happens on one side, because Afghanistan is a hotbed of snakes. They're all secret services, hostile secret services. Israelis are there, NATO is there, Americans are there, Indians are there. Every hostile entity is present in Afghanistan, bringing a war into Pakistan which we cannot stop. So to do that, we need to make a regional stand. Pakistan, China and Russia. Unless and until our foreign policy is directed towards creating a larger regional security, we will find it almost impossible to stand alone. And this is the crisis for us now.
So I would like to share this with you, Zahid Hamid Saab, that Sartaj Aziz has said that the former President Pervez Musharraf had said that there was verbal understanding with the United States on drone attacks, but the government cannot accept anything that impinges upon the sovereignty of the country. So what do you think that on this drone attacks issue, did Nawaz Sharif address this issue in the UN session in the right direction?
You see, if they want to stop the drone strike, it's a 20-minute job. All they have to do is stop the supplies from coming into Afghanistan and going out of it. That's it. You stop the NATO supplies and tell the Americans to stop the drones. The government doesn't want to do it. You see, when we stopped the NATO supplies after they killed our soldiers on the border, we stopped the NATO supplies and we told them to evacuate the airbase, which the Americans had a lot of time. And Americans were so under pressure from Pakistan because we had blocked the NATO supplies that they evacuated the base in 2 weeks. Never in American history have they ever evacuated in 2 weeks. They did when we told them, when we blocked their supplies. And supplies are the leverage they must use. Supplies are still going in, supplies are still coming out. Americans are they've got $1 billion worth of hardware. Their economy is crashing at home. They cannot afford to lose this hardware. We should actually threaten to seize this hardware. This hardware should become Pakistan's property as compensation for the that they have caused to Pakistan, for the betrayal that they have done to Pakistan, for the war that they have waged against by allowing CIA and RAW and Mossad to operate from Afghanistan into Pakistan. These damages are put on the Americans now.
But what's been said is that they might be leaving weaponry for Indians that can be used
Not
later.
just for Indians. They want to leave almost $40 billion hardware behind. That's not just for Indians. That's for every insurgent and terrorist group in the region. They leave something in Afghanistan. Ones can fight with each other. They leave some for the Pakistani terrorist groups so they can fight against the state of Pakistan as in now. So this is what we are saying. Everything, all their hardware, important hardware which they want to take out to Pakistan, which is on Pakistani ports, we must seize it. Because this, we must put damages on. They have betrayed us in the past, they are betraying us now. And this is the time. Their economy is crashing at home, they cannot go against us. But if we allow the Americans to take out their hardware and distribute the rest in the region, then it's a security nightmare for us, much worse than what we are facing today now.
So you think that will be strong enough to take this step?
There is absolutely
of
no doubt.
seizing their weaponry.
We can do that. America do a thing. We block their supply
But
lines.
how can a country which cannot address the issue of drone strikes in the right direction in their foreign policy
Again, I'm not
would be capable of doing such a huge task?
I'm not saying Nawaz Sharif is capable to do that. What I'm saying is this must be done. If Nawaz Sharif is not able to do it, the nation must rise against him and force him to either to do it or to remove and bring somebody who can do it, because this is the way forward. We cannot let the Americans distribute $40 billion worth of hardware in the region. They want to leave a mess and chaos behind. It will be a catastrophic failure of Pakistan's foreign policy if we are not to stop what's coming our way now. We know it's coming, and we have the potential and the means to stop it now. We have to make China, Iran, Turkey, Russia. We can make a regional alliance and force the Americans not to leave behind. And this can be done.
Sure. I would like to bring attention this one more aspect that we were told. Our Qaeda stated that the state shall endure to preserve and strengthen fraternal relations among Muslims based on Islamic unity, support the common interest of the people of Asia, Africa and America, promote international peace and security. So he gave us all the dimensions, all the countries of the world.
Global and pan-Islamic.
And it was a global vision. How far are we from the vision that was given to us by our leader, Quaid-e-Azam?
We have had, ever since the death of Quaid-e-Azam and then the first Liaqat Ali Khan, who had refused to sell his soul to the Israelis, the honorable men died much earlier. And then Pakistan went through chaotic periods. The last 6 decades have almost been chaotic politically. Sometimes the democratic governments, sometimes the military governments. But still, despite all this chaos, we were able to achieve impossible results. We were able to achieve fascinating results. Something world would never expect us to do. We destroyed the Soviet Union. We reshaped the world. We defended and protected Middle East. We countered Israel and counterbalanced India in the subcontinent region. If India has not expanded into Sri Lanka countries, it's because they're being countered by Pakistan. And we helped China to a power which they are today. So our imprint, our footprint on the global point is still intense. But still we could be the greatest nation in this region, leading the Muslim, which was the vision of our founding fathers.
Before we end our show, we have just a couple of minutes. I would like to know that a recent development that we have seen in this UN General Assembly session, that the US has shown a soft corner towards Iran, and that happened after 34 years. The leaders, they got to talk to each other. But Israel doesn't look like very happy on this refrain of the better relations between the two countries. So what do you see in the future that if Iran relations, they get improved? What benefits would Pakistan get it, and how would Israel take this to US and Iran?
Remember one thing, America does not have a foreign policy either. It's controlled by the Zionist Jewish state of Israel. So basically building relationship with Iran and Israel getting angry is a good or bad cop thing, that's all. Americans do not have a policy. Whatever they are doing in the East, they're doing right now in Muslim states is being done to protect state of Israel. The economy is themselves. And we are seeing right now as we are doing this program, the whole American government is going into a shutdown because they don't have salaries to pay to their troops. Their economy is totally collapsing now. And it's all because
Obama has created a mess there.
So whatever is happening in the greater Middle East is to protect interests. And why they want to build relationships with Israel is because they want to ignite sectarian wars between the Muslim world, with Iran. See, developing with Iran or protecting Iran, they are doing it for their own interest to an extent because there are sectarian wars within the Muslim world. And Iran represents the Shia sect and Saudi represents the Sunni sect, and both of them are almost at war with each other at various locations in the world. And this thing that Americans and Israelis want to promote even in Pakistan.
That's a last question. What should be the most priority in the foreign policy of Pakistan?
form strategic collective security blocks in the region. Pakistan must make security alliances and blocks with China, Russia, and Turkey, particularly because this is the regional countries. If we are able to form a joint defense strategy, common security arrangement, then Pakistan would be able to hold on independently against a combined Indian American NATO threat. Right now, our biggest threat is from the entire NATO, Americans, Israelis behind them, and Indians on the east. We are totally encircled. But we have allies, friends in the region, but our diplomacy, our foreign policy is so weak under the present political leadership that we can take advantage of the strength that we have. In the past, we were the leaders of the Muslim world. We have excellent relationship. Destroyed Soviet Union in the past. We can destroy the Americans in Afghanistan, but somebody with courage has to be. Right now, we don't see that.
Thank you very much, Zahid Hamid Shah, for joining us. Viewers, as you saw that we have the foreign policy of Pakistan, the drawbacks of the foreign policy of Pakistan, and the strengths that we, in the history, what foreign policy of Pakistan held, and the way we stood up against the national world, international world. What is needed today for Pakistan is to make grand alliance that if any internal or external hardships Pakistan has to face, these alliances stand by Pakistan. That's it for tonight. We will be seeing you again next Sunday with more. Until then, Allah Hafiz and good night.